Welcome to part 2 of this module. If you haven't already, download the steps of the exercise and follow the steps as in the video. Enjoy!
So, Michael, you have an exercise for us around shifting our power dynamics.
I do. It's got 2 parts. And
always with the 2 parts.
Always with the 2 parts. And several questions, of course. So first part has to do with win-lose. It's kind of repetitive, but that's okay. It's got 3 questions. So 1, think of a current or recent situation in which you feel stuck in a win-lose, right-wrong power struggle. Not one that you have resolved.
You want me to share that with you now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I'm going to go back to, so you're talking about a current, so a current or a recent situation. I'm going to go back to the situation I shared in the last module, which was around a previous employer that I had, in which I felt like my job needed to move in a certain direction, and she felt the job needed to move in a different direction. So that was very much a win-lose because she was a CEO and she won.
Okay. Can we go back to what were the beliefs that were keeping you stuck?
My belief was that I needed to be right. I was the professional here, that I was the more competent person who knew what was going on. And I think the other belief is, I can't remember exactly how I described it previously, but that there was a lot of other dynamics at play internally for me, where I didn't like being told that I was wrong.
Mm-hmm. There was also the beliefs, if I remember right, that she didn't know what she was doing.
Right.
And there was another adjective. What, narcissistic, was that it?
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. So all of those were beliefs that were keeping you in that struggle.
Yes.
Third question, what beliefs would have been more useful toward moving toward an infinite perspective?
I think that, and it was not, it's interesting because I actually, upon reflection, this is the second time I've been in a situation with a senior person where I didn't believe that they knew what they were doing and they knew which way the organization had to move. One was actually when I was living in New York. I just didn't believe that this person really understood what needed to happen. So the beliefs that would have been useful is I think belief that this person has been around for a while and I maybe have something to learn from them. Why don't I listen to their perspective? And I even remember like 10 years ago, it was longer than that, it was more like 15 years ago, when someone actually said to me when I was describing the situation in a classroom about how another boss was just like, he came in, started dominating, started changing all the rules. And she goes, well, did you ask him why? And it was kind of, I was like, how do you know he's wrong? And I didn't want to hear what she had to say because I knew that he was wrong because it was different from the way things had been done before. I mean, there was definitely issues in the way he approached it, but if I'd remained more curious and more open, maybe it would have been a better dialogue, different things. So the beliefs were really that, this person is just full of themselves and they just don't know what's right here. And I'm the professional, so I know which way to go.
That's so beautifully described. It's like there was a difference and it proves that I'm right and they're wrong. Hence, there is no way that you could possibly learn anything from that person or those people, actually. When simply the belief that, oh, here's a difference, that means there's possibly something that I can learn here. Oh, my God, what a mind-blowing mind opener that is. Well done. Okay, let's move on to the second one. What could your intention, what could be your intention if you wanted to resolve the situation in a win-win manner? Actually, you've already answered this, but let's just do it for sake of our audience.
Yeah, so my intention would be that they actually have something to contribute, that I have something to learn here, to understand why they wanted to move in a different direction that I thought we should be moving in.
And for the time being, I would like to continue this relationship.
Right.
Yeah. Cool. Now it gets harder. Number two, how might you get yourself to be curious, interested, and appreciative of the other's point of view? What could you actually do?
I think just ask questions about why they are taking the approach that they're taking. I mean, that's...
But if it never occurs to you to ask questions, because you know you're right, you won't do that.
Okay.
So then we have to go to our support system, where you leave that meeting and you chat with your colleague or whomever it is, somebody that you've got a contract with, to say, well, Randy, how did that go? Well, she was just wrong. Oh, really? Tell me more about that, to get you to begin to make your own shift. We won't do it by ourselves.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to what support systems did I have in place at that time in those two situations I was describing. And in the first one, I definitely, it wasn't a support system. It was like everyone felt the same way that I did. There was no one, and no one was really kind of asking people to pause and questioning what was going on. So therefore I knew I was right because everyone agreed with me. And in the second case, my support system, I think, was too small. I didn't have a broad enough support system when it came down to that.
Well said. If we could simply be conscious about building ourselves support systems, particularly when something isn't really working well. Where can I build a support system of people who are going to challenge me to begin to open my mind again? Because you can tell that's part of the problem.
I think the hardest part about that is, and I mentioned this before, it's often not about the situation that's right in front of you. It's about all the other situations you've been in where you feel like you've been shafted, where you've been the loser, all of those situations, right? So, and that you don't want to be back there again, and you don't want to be the one that's taken advantage of. So in the previous module, you talked about in our previous concept, don't let people take advantage of you. So I think that's really hard. Is on one hand, I don't want to be a loser, and I can reframe that, but I also don't want people to take advantage of me. And I feel like, how do I know the difference, Michael, of when I'm being taken advantage of versus when I'm not?
When you're feeling that internal tension, when you can see your brain going, I know I'm right about this, you can count on that you are stuck and that you need to slow down, go take a restroom break, get on the phone with somebody who is part of your support system. Otherwise, it simply won't work. Now, I do want to say that there's no way that we can turn every situation immediately into everybody wins. But even if I am saying I got to get out of this situation, it's because I need to go to a situation where I can feel that I can win, and the organization can feel that they can win better without me. So it's still moving toward that win-win, where everybody is going to be better satisfied in the long run. Notice I keep saying in the long run.
Right.
But in our society, we've got this notion that short run is better than long run. And maybe that's not necessarily so. Maybe we need to consider both. What's going to work in the short run that'll get us to the long run. If we don't keep that equation in our minds, it just isn't going to work.
Okay.
So this whole second part is about how can we develop our support systems? Because without it, we will not get to playing infinitely.
Right.
That is the end of the exercise, and it calls on everything that we have talked about in all of the previous courses that you already mentioned. Conscious use of self, seeing human systems, that we're all in this boat together, sound and current data, using feedback. Well, am I on target here or not?
Mm-hmm.
It all comes together so that we can begin to shift how we're doing conflicts, because all of this is really about shifting how we manage conflict.
Right.
And somehow or another, we should have built that into the title and conversation in this course. It's about shifting how we manage conflicts.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing, as I'm reflecting upon this and how powerful this particular module is, it's like a part of me wanted to start here. Why didn't we start this whole leadership and self-management course talking about power dynamics? So, and I understand why. It's like you have to have a certain level of consciousness even to be able to have the conversation around power dynamics. But, a part of me just wanted to say, hey, let's start here, because that's really the crux of the issue in most organizations, is this constant power dynamics. But anyways, so Michael, to close this out, that's an aside, and you can respond to it if you'd like. But I really, is there anything more that you want to say about power dynamics?
No. Any difficulty that we're having in human systems comes out of win-lose power dynamics. End of story.
Okay. End of
Just
story.
to comment, though, on your thought, that you've given me a thought that maybe up front at the beginning that we can say that the program is about shifting our power dynamics, but this is the process we have to go through to get to it.
Right.
Okay, yeah, so that's something we can think about for the future.
So I just want to make sure we've closed out this module. So we've kind of, I don't know if you want to include this part or not. So
There's something to think about.
Okay. So is there any more courses so Michael, we've closed out this module. Thank you for all your thoughts on power dynamics. Is there another course waiting for us after this?
Well, yes, and actually it builds on this course. Well, all the courses build on the others. This one in particular, we're going to really focus on learning from differences and how difficult that is and how we can do it. And we've actually covered all the concepts for it. So the next module is going to be some discussion, but it's going to be about a very powerful exercise that will take us in depth to experience how we get stuck in playing win-lose through our own psychology, and how we can begin to reframe those, because any conflict we're having with someone else starts with a conflict within ourselves. And
fair enough.
So stay tuned for learning from differences, and that'll be the next to our last course here. So we're almost done.
Great. Well, thank you very much for that. And that closes out this module on power dynamics.